Hello there, guys. Today we're going to have a look at reconnaissance in Foxhole. As usual, I'm Argie, and this is the fourth part in a series of me talking about how you play Foxhole and what some good strategies are for doing all sorts of tasks. First off, I'd like to talk a bit about the loadout that you have, or that I recommend you have, when you go out on reconnaissance. The first thing that I think is quite important is the radio backpack, and there will probably be a lot of people who disagree with me, but I will bring up why it is especially useful when I start talking about converting what you find to a readable map that you can give to your friends. But the main part is that the things you observe will be transferred onto the map, the in-game map, which you can then take a picture of and use to more accurately place the defenses that you spot. That's why I like it, but it's also entirely possible to use landmarks and binoculars to spot everything. Outside of the radio backpack, I do of course have my binoculars, because the range is slightly longer, and it's often good to have a visual reference to go along with the map that you make. On top of that, I of course have a primary weapon. My primary weapon is a fully automatic weapon. I don't care that much about range for it, because it's mainly used to give myself cover so that I can get out of a sticky situation and not as much actually killing anyone. In addition to that, you can see that I have a green ash grenade, and that is once again, throw it behind me and run the fuck away. That's about it on what I have to say about my equipment. I have a bandage in case I get a stray bullet, but that's about it. I would personally say that you should gear your equipment towards not going into a firefight, but rather staying alive, because you're not here to kill someone, you're here to get information that makes it a lot easier to kill someone later. Right. Now that we have the equipment sorted out and the reasoning for the equipment sorted out, I suppose it's time that we go and have a look at some enemy fortifications. And after that, we'll be transferring it onto a map, and then we'll just have some final notes and wrap up. So, I finally made my way down to the target that I wanted to observe. I will likely be shot in a second, because there's already been one guy trying to find me, but I just wanted to show you the advantages of the map while I'm here. It'll likely get me killed explaining this to you, just so you know. But as you can see, I have the exact distance from me to the place, and if I then take any kind of screenshot of this, I can save that and use it for determining where I need to draw it on a map later. When you take your screenshots, it's important to get a little bit of the surrounding landmarks with it, just so that you can use it to judge distance later. And while I'm here now, I will then observe. These should be the 3 items that I saw on the map, and using them I can observe the surrounding points of interest, and I can use them to judge the distance to the next. Though I don't think I can see, just have to trigger that before it activates, and I can see it again. I can see that there's a line here in front of some smaller AI. Then we have some actually built-up areas, and then I can see the distance up to this bunker section. And I can see how they've built a line of active defense followed by an AI defense. I can say that I were here yesterday, and all of this was a minefield yesterday. So from my map from yesterday, I can go in and I can replace the minefield with that. And once you have a good look and you feel like you know a little bit about everything, you have the tower in there. I know where the bunker base is, what direction it is. This might be a good place to take a screenshot. And when you feel like you have everything noted down, I advise that you go in here and get another screenshot of this area. Just make sure to save your first one before doing anything else. I post mine on our server where we have a Recon chat. It'll just take me a second. You can't see I'm doing this due to the way OBS works. But once it's saved, I'll go back in here Still haven't been murdered. That's interesting. I did kill him rather embarrassingly. He came up on me with an SMG and I just shot him with my pistol because I brought nothing as I'd recently died. I was about to pick up my backpack again, so maybe he doesn't want to come out and play. Who knows? Anyway, taking another screenshot. This is going to be the one where I draw my observations on. Once again, I'm getting quite a few landmarks on it. While I'm here, I can begin drawing on it, and I think I will do that because it seems like I'm not getting disturbed for a while. So, opening up my... it's very basic, but that's not what matters. The important thing is that it works. I will draw in the first line. I'll use different colors for every line of defense that I make so that I can refer to the lines and the colors later and describe what each color is. So go in here. I've made the first red line, which is going to be the active AI that's out front here that I can't see right now because my head hasn't popped off. There we go. Duck back down before I get shot by the MG garrison. And I'll just make a quick note on a piece of paper in front of me that it's a healthy mix of MG and anti-tank foxholes. Or not foxholes. It played this game too much. It used to be called foxholes. Also used to have a different model. Pillboxes, of course. Then I can see that they have barbed wire. And I'll kind of lump that in with the active defense here, which I'll make another line. And it'll just be an approximate distance. It's the blue line here. I know that it goes and follows down and that it caps off at the bottom here. I went all the way around. I just didn't draw it before now. And then if you want to, you can symbolize the active defense by making a black line in front of it. There we go. What I've also observed is that this continues on this side of the road. Again, with the active defense zone in front of it. Then, what I like to do is to make sure to note where the bunker base itself is, in case I want to do some artillery on it. And I can see that it is pretty much straight behind the active AI that I have on my map. And so I'll go over here, and I'll take my approximate location, go over, and I will just mark it by drawing a square. Also saw that it was pretty close to the road, so this approximate location is not too far off. At least you'll know which end of the base it is at. Actually not too bad at all. Though I may have made the blue line here go a little too far up. I'm not too sure. I'll just recheck that since for some reason I'm not getting killed. I have no idea why. I'll just have to get visual on these. That stops there. It is indeed correct. I drew it a little too high. It is in fact something more akin to looking like this. And we'll redraw the black line. If you like to, you can always draw the approximate size of the garrisons, like by doing this, and then coloring it in. There we go. If you want to, you can also go in here and you can start marking down where they have active anti-tank guns, which they have at the road and at the corner, and then at a regular interval, looking something like this. I mark it with a plus sign. What's important is to get the feel of the coverage. So you don't need to have the exact placement, but you can see here that the area that this anti-tank gun covers overlaps with this anti-tank gun, and they overlap with this one, basically making a solid line of anti-tank coverage. If you want to be more specific, I would suggest making a line saying like this one is isolated, writing it down. Or just make a star symbol or whatever, and then write on a following document, say, this specific anti-tank gun is more isolated than the rest, basically noting that it's a weak spot. So now I've translated it over to this map here. I'll check if there's anything else of interest here. Not really. At least not that I can see. Perhaps noting down that they have an observation tower, as these can be capped and you can use them with the tripod and radio listening kit if you have a friend who wants to come along and help. I shall quickly note that. I suppose I will do that drawing an octagon-ish item. That'll be good enough. Giving it a cross sign inside. Now that we have this, I'll just copy that and I'll transfer it to a document. Alright, I just whipped up the posting of your findings. So I have converted my observations, the drawing that you saw me make just a minute ago. I have now given a basic explanation of what you see on the picture, where it is, and just so my officers don't get absolutely fucking confused, since I'm using our actual operational channel, I just named it. But the name would be, for X op or by X person at X area. Usually, when you do this on a clan level, an officer would ask for intel on an area, and your naming of your intel would be for X officer or for X operation. And then I would do like this in Discord. In Guilded, we have these image or media channels. I would do like this. This way you can also discuss it later. Say if there's specific things that you would like to have explained, or you want a closer look at a specific angle, you can go in here and keep it in this. Unfortunately, it does not facilitate having it set down on lines, but as long as you format it, then it should be fine. If you really want to, you could go in and make it bold whenever you have specific, when you have the descriptors. Yep. And the last thing is how I would use this on a document, which I just made a document here. Usually I'd have it in an appendix, so that as a reference, and not use it directly in my folder unless I am pointing to using it for a specific strategy. Okay. And then I have, again, the description of what is what just underneath it. Alright then, I hope that was somewhat useful. If you think it was, please consider subscribing, perhaps leaving a like. And as always, I hope you have a good day. Also, again, thank your channels for paying me.